We are not in Miami, but we are enjoying the UK sunshine this week. Heady 16 degrees for us here in Northern England, whereas over there in Miami, Joe, I don't know what it's all about over there, but I'm seeing plenty of tops off walking around on all these embeddeds and all that. Everyone enjoying and basking in that Miami heat. And we've got a red hot fight card as well this weekend. Volkanovski against Lopes. Obviously, the main event. Can Volk regain his title against the young, hungry Lopes? We've got a cracker of a main card and that co-main as well between Michael Chandler and Paddy Pimblett. Should be one hell of a fight over 5 rounds. Yair Rodriguez, who was on fire himself, not a trash talker, apart from when he's going at Diego Lopes in the press conference. Patricio Pitbull is his opponent, making his UFC debut this weekend, the former Bellator champion. We've got an intriguing Bryce Mitchell against Silva matchup on that main card as well, which is opened up by Nikita Krylov, his first appearance in a couple of years against Dominick, the resurgent Reyes. A couple of back-to-back wins for him after 3 knockout losses. Bit of a crossroads fight, maybe towards that top 5 for both of those gentlemen. But we'll get stuck into some of the fights. It's UFC 313 314 fighter draft, where we pick 5 fighters from across the cards, and of course, as ever, joined by Mr. Joe Me the Money Harrison. How's it going, Joe?
Yeah, good. Like I said, pretty excited at the moment. Yeah, it's a really good fight card. I said I love a bit of hassle a bit of conflict in the press conference last night. Like I said, I think that shocked a lot of people. Diego and Yair going at it. All this drama about the fight camp, about this and that have come out. So yeah, adds extra spice to 2 fighters that aren't even fighting. And like I said, loads of interesting fights, loads of interesting fighters. Bryce Mitchell's on the card, the ever controversial Bryce Mitchell now, who's made a name for himself for a lot of wrong reasons, a couple of right. And like I said, yeah, good fights all over the card. And yeah, excited about this one, Sam.
Yeah, like I was just saying before we started, kind of the first one for a while, I suppose. And one of the questions in the presser yesterday, there's actually been, I can't remember, it was 3 or 4 cards in a row where there hasn't been a fight of the night performance bonus been allocated. I'm not sure we're going to have that problem here, but it kind of just shows, doesn't it, like the way it's gone. Obviously, we had that disappointing London card. We've had a couple of like slow burners as well. Since so we are ready, and the UFC fan base needs this. It needs a cracker.
We've been, to be honest, for the last year, I've been a bit disillusioned with the fight cards. The odd one that just keeps you in and keeps you at it, and like you said, makes it exciting. But God, I remember when every week, not every week, but every once a month, there'd be a cracker, there'd be a great fight night, and I think for whatever reason, them stars just aren't pushing through. The fights aren't as interesting. But like you said, this is the one. Let's reinvigorate the MMA community with an unbelievable fight night.
Yeah, like you said, some of the stars maybe have kind of disappeared. We don't see them so often, and it's kind of encouraging this new breed. And we've had a kind of lot of safe fights. The likes of Lerone Murphy, a safe fighter last week. Getting that win. And then we've had quite a lot of that, I suppose. When we look back to that London card as well, we kind of highlighted a Nathaniel Wood, technically brilliant, but those show-stopping moments kind of haven't been there for a lot of these cards. So it's going to be interesting to see the way that pushes on. And when we look at, obviously we've got kind of Pitbull coming in at 38, but if we look at that featherweight division, the likes of Volk, if he were to lose this weekend, will probably be out of there. We're looking at Max Holloway, who's still ranked and departing that division. He's apparently going to be fighting Dustin Poirier for the BMF in a couple of months' time and sticking around at lightweight. We've got others in that division. The likes of Brian Ortega maybe moving to 155. And all of a sudden, divisions now are kind of moving along. The stars are departing, but it's just getting these viral moments. So it's going to be interesting to see who can deliver, but we'll see who delivers this weekend. Just run us through the rules of our UFC fighter draft before we start? The rules meeting from Joe.
Yeah, 5 rounds. If you've watched us before, 5 rounds, 1 pick each per round. It's a snake draft. So whoever picks first picks the obviously second in the next round and all the way down. Yeah, nice and easy. You go with your favourites and you work your way up until the ones that you've got outside shots on. I've had a tough start to this year. Sam's been doing a bit better than me, so I'm coming all guns blazing. I think as simple as take us away, Sam, for round 1.
Am I first? You giving me the first shot?
First, yeah, I'm coming. I'm ready. I'm going to let you go first. I think the looks with the second place picker at the moment.
Yeah, do you know what? I don't know this one. I was kind of thinking about it earlier, and I've got some of my fight picks for this card, but I was walking the dog, and I was thinking, who is actually my first round pick? And I don't know who it's going to be. I've kind of got some that I'm kind of level with, but do you know what? I'm going to go with Paddy Pimblett. I just really fancy him this weekend to get the job done over Michael Chandler. Obviously, we saw him in Manchester disposing of King Green in the first round, and seeing that fight back this week. Paddy was just so clinical and on it that night. And all right, King Green, into the last stages of his career. Now a true veteran, but we kind of saw a bit of that from Michael Chandler. Obviously, he's had that layoff waiting for Conor. That it didn't look great against Charles Oliveira. Went the full 5, had a bit of a rally, but that was the most dominated we've seen Michael Chandler. He's normally in a firefight. He's either winning or losing. Razor close fights due to mainly the way that he fights. With this desire just to entertain and to win by finish. So I think Paddy, that kind of really suits him this weekend, the way that he fights, the way he can finish fights on the ground. He's got better on the feet. We've seen more power. The kicks that he was hitting Green with last time out kind of led to that finish and Bobby shooting the takedown. So, I think Chandler's going to come out swinging. That's what he's promised. And I think Paddy, there's an opportunity there one way or another, whether he's going to catch him on the feet or whether he can the fight hits the floor and Paddy finishes there. But I just fancy him this weekend. I think this is a moment he's made for, and I think he gets the job done over Michael Chandler, which will be a shame. But there's still fights, even though he'll be 2-5 if he loses this in the UFC. Chandler, there is still fights for him in the division just by the fact that he's so entertaining. So I'm going Paddy within a couple of rounds to get the job done.
Like it. I think you're not playing the odds game there, Sam, to be honest with you. I don't mind. I like the pick. It's a confident pick, but you're not playing the odds game. I'm going with the odds game. I need a win. I need a win this year. I'm going with the odds, and I want to get 4 or 5 out of 5 this week. And I'm taking it steady, and I'm going Chase Hooper against Jim Miller. The old wily vet. Jim Miller's 41 years old. About 3-4 years ago, we went on another run. Everyone's thinking Jim Miller, wow, but 41, got knocked out in his last fight. He's not been doing as well. I just don't think. He won his last fight. I apologise. It was the fight before he lost to King Green that I was thinking about. Obviously, who Paddy's won. I think he actually won his last fight. So I do apologise to Jim Miller for saying that. But against Damon Jackson. I think Chase Hooper's that level above now. I think he's in that next level. I think he's got too much on the ground. Jim Miller's all right stand-up. We've seen Chase Hooper stand-up go from non-existent to actually pretty impressive in his last fight or 2. And I think that might be too much for a 41-year-old Jim Miller. You can never write Jim Miller off. It would be a closer one than what we think, but I think this is Chase Hooper's time. We've watched him go from Ben Askren's younger brother, or son, I think he called himself, at the start of his UFC career when he was just coming on the scene. Didn't quite have a well-rounded game. He was very young when he first started. He's 25 now. He's getting that year old. It's time for him to take that step. He did in his last fight. He's 6'1", got the reach. Advantage, got the height advantage, and I think he'll just have too much for this old Jim Miller now. It's the young guns game. MMA, and I think Chase Hooper is the one to really take a step up. It gives him a big name to go against. Now, obviously, few people know Chase Hooper, but I think even more will after tomorrow night. And yeah, have too much. His game's developed. Chase Hooper gets a confident victory in my book.
Nice, like it. Yeah, I think that's an interesting fight. And there is a kind of a lot of changing of the guards fights at the year. There's that one which has gone under the radar. We obviously got Paddy against Chandler, and of course the main event as well with Volkan Lopes. So that's what that one's gone a little under the radar. That one, but yeah, it's one that Hooper really needs to be winning.
It's back to me. It's back to me, Sam. I've got to be honest with you. It's back to me, and I'm doing not a change of the guard one, but it's an old man versus a bit of a younger man. And my round 2 pick is going to be Julian Erosa. He's against Darren the Danger Elkins. Simply, obviously, he's won 2 fights in a row now. Julian Erosa beat Christian Rodriguez, beat Ricardo Ramos. That was last year. I think he's at that peak. I think that 35, 36 number for me is the one where you've got them 1 or 2 last impressive fights. You've got your well-rounded game at this point. You're not as athletic as you were in your youth, but you can put it all together. I think that's what the age he's at is. Darren Elkins is 40 years old. He's not the danger, the damage Elkins, and he has lots and lots of damage. He's only fought 1 time last year. He only fought 1 time in 2023. Both wins. But I think he's coming to the end of his career now at 40 years old. If he can pull off another impressive win versus Julian Erosa, who I think's the level above. I think he's the level of Daniel Pineda. We've watched him lose quite a few. TJ Brown, not a large name in the MMA community as such. So I think Erosa's that next level up to his last 2 wins. They've given him a good fight in a big event here. And I think Erosa's too good, too well-rounded, too fit, and can take the damage. Can take the damage that Darren's willing to give out, and it's too much cardio, too much of I think everything at this stage of career compared to Darren Elkins. Again, one of them I'm a bit nervous because he's one that you can never write off. You can never write Darren Elkins off. He's had some of the craziest highlights in my history. If you watch his highlight, it's normally when he's got beat really, really easily in the first round, damage all over his face, but he'll keep going. Julian Erosa will also keep going with him, though. It's not one of these ones where I don't think you're going to beat Erosa at that game anymore anyway at 40 years old. So I've got Julian Erosa to beat Darren the Damage Elkins.
Nice. Yeah, I like it. Erosa was on my shortlist, so yeah, that's a decent pick. I'm going to go for, and I was quite surprised looking at this one. I was just having one more look at it before I go. And on Tapology, it's kind of a pick and fight on their votes system. But I'm going to go for Sean Woodson to beat Dan Ige. Obviously, Woodson, very tall for the featherweight division, 6'2". Dan Ige standing at 5'7". And Woodson, as we've seen so far in his UFC career, where he has got a really good record, that he is, really good at fighting at range. He's got a decent record as an amateur boxer. He's transitioned really well to MMA. Since he's made that jump. He's 13-1-1 in his career. I think he's 7-1-1 in the UFC. He's on a decent streak. He's picking off his opponents. He got a first round finish last time out against Fernando Padilla, winning that one. And I think with the reach advantage here against Ige, unless Ige's either going to land big, or be able to take him down, which I'm not sure. I think Woodson's defense, the takedown defense, has stood up pretty well so far. We last saw Ige losing to Lerone Murphy. Good prospects. Before that, losing to Diego Lopes. Obviously, that one had the asterisks of 5 hours notice for Ige, who just hopped in to save that fight from falling apart when Ortega had pulled out in a hectic week for Diego Lopes. So on paper, those fights, not the worst losses you can take at the stage of your career against two really good prospects. But I think Woodson's shown himself to be a good prospect now as well. And Ige's slipping now towards the outer outskirts of that top 15. So a great opportunity for Woodson with his form to be able to take that spot this weekend. And I think just that range, I just think Ige is going to find that really difficult. There are possibilities that he lands one. He is tough. He is durable. Never been stopped. Ige in his 8 UFC defeats that he's had. But I think against the better prospects now, he is coming up slightly short. And I think Woodson is good, and I think Woodson gets the job done. And I just like the range and the reach advantage that he's got this weekend. And I think he should be able to keep the distance well and probably get a decision win on the scorecards for me.
Yeah, I like it. I'd definitely go with Sean Woodson myself. That were on the list. Yeah, I think this is where it gets tougher now, Sam. I think we picked 4. Probably, 4 favourites there. The rest of them get a bit. They get a bit closer now, so I'm a bit nervous.
Yeah.
I might go against the. I think it's round 3. I've got one last. Oh no, it's back to you. I'm going to steal the pick. To you, you're out.
Do you know what? I don't know whether to play. It's Miami's. And it's a good card, so I don't know whether to play the fights I'm interested in over some of the maybe smarter picks down the bottom of the card. But you know what? I think I'm just going to go for the fights that I'm really interested in, and I'm going to go for Diego Lopes to beat Volk in the main event. I'm going to go nice and early on some of these, and let's try and preview some of these big fights on the main card, or at least that's my tactic that I'm going for this weekend. So I'm going for Diego Lopes to get it done. Part of me would love to see Volk win. Win the title back. He's been such a great servant, fantastic personality. Just watching him this week, he's definitely got a future doing whatever he wants. Alexander Volkanovski, comedy sketches. The chat show. Obviously, he's got his food YouTube channel. This guy kind of whatever he tries his hand at, he generally excels at. So, but that time for a fighter does come. He's obviously lost back-to-back knockouts. Again, you can say no shame in who you've lost to. Taking that fight at short notice against Makhachev and getting finished in the first round, and then taking a fight against Ilia Topuria. Only a few months later as well, with the power that this guy has at featherweight, was probably a mistake all in all. But he's found himself to those 2 losses, and I think Diego Lopes just has that finishing ability. He's got a constant threat. He's always going to try, whether it's on the ground, on the feet. He is looking for the finish. You potentially worry about the later rounds if Volk is wily and he uses all his experience to kind of old man him. Especially with that old man skit of Volk, but there is potential for that. But I just think Lopes has got too much for him. At this stage, he's big for the division. He's got loads of skill, on the ground, on the feet. He's kind of got everything, Lopes, and he looks like he's in a good spot ahead of this week. He got the all important win over Brian Ortega. That's a solid win to kind of earn a title opportunity. I think he's just gonna have too much for Volk, and I think it's one of those where you kind of see Volk this week. He looks in a great place. He's talking a good game, but I think quite a few have tried now. It just seems like a bit of a trend. Once you've lost, like an Adesanya trying to come back, and it's just not quite there. Once you've had a couple of knockouts, the mistakes tend to come, and once you get hit, it tends to be over. So I'm going to go for Diego Lopes to catch him second or third round and put Volk away, and he probably walks away. One of the goats of the featherweight division, probably behind Max for me. But you can argue resumes side by side. But Diego Lopes, the time is now for the mullet to reign supreme in this featherweight division.
Like it, look at you didn't steal my pick. I don't know if I'm going to go against you or not because I probably agree with what you've said there. But I'm happy you didn't steal my pick. I'm going Yair Rodriguez to beat Patricio Pitbull. I think it's Yair's to win. We're talking Patricio Pitbull here. He's 37 years old. I think he's past his prime. His last opponent he got a win on, but I don't think it was that same level of opponent. It was against Jeremy Kennedy in Bellator. You know what? He lost 2 in a row previous to that. If we're talking about Patricio Pitbull as a fighter, definitely one of the legends outside UFC, one that we always want to see in UFC. But the UFC, they do this, they get this 37 and they just don't quite do it, and then they fade into obscurity. Some of them rise up. It's normally when you get them a little bit younger. I think that 37 mark in the featherweight division, that obviously there's been multiple videos on it. We've commented on it. That's a division that once you pass 34, 35, you don't fall off a cliff, but you quickly get worse and worse every fight. And I think Yair is the right side of that age. He's lost obviously to Volk. He's lost to Brian Ortega recently. He's hungry. I think he wants that title shot back, especially if Diego Lopes wins. The storyline for me is if Lopes wins, Yair wins, you've probably got to give it Ortega or to figure out. But you'd love to see that fight now. After all, Yair's done brilliantly. He's set up another title fight for himself against Lopes if Lopes is the winner. Anyway, and if Lopes is the loser, probably set up a fight with him anyway, because obviously Volk, as you said, probably doesn't have loads of fights left in his career. That's a fight to make, and I think he needs the win for his own career, for his own resume. He is someone who we've talked about potential for years, and I think he beats a 37-year-old Patricio Pitbull here. Legend of the sport, Patricio, outside of UFC. If you enjoy your Bellators, enjoy your other fight promotions to watch, but no, Yair Rodriguez, too young, too athletic, and just at the right time for him. I think this is the right time for Yair to kick on and get that last title shot before probably he either wins it and has a couple of good years or he moves on. So yeah, no, for me, Yair Rodriguez, I think wins pretty comfortably and gets the TKO/KO finish versus Patricio Pitbull.
Yeah, I like that pick. That was a fight I wasn't quite sure on this week. It's kind of the one I've kind of avoided a little bit because you just don't know what that Pitbull coming in. He's going to go for it a bit more. You know, as you said, the kind of age, the slowing down. He's not as the output's not as there as it probably once was. And you've got Rodriguez who just has that complete output. But he does look in great shape, Yair, and I like the fire. I kind of when I saw that last night, and he's got him and Lopes are going. I thought this, the guy's obviously bang on it. He's hungry. He wants to fight. He's ready to go. Because he doesn't normally flare up like that, Rodriguez. So he's obviously itching to get in there. So yeah, I think that's a solid pick.
Back to me. We're in round 4, Sam, and let's have some fun. Come on. Commenters, come at me. My round 4 pick is Bryce Mitchell. I'm taking it. I think he beats John Silva. Come at me, Sam. Come at me. I know you want fancy piece of John Silva. I've got Fug Nasty. I've got Bryce. I think, you know what? One of the most underrated fighters for all his daftness. I'm not defending. He's daft. He makes daft comments. He's from another part of the world, obviously from the US, but that really southern Christian religion where they don't see much. He's been I think it's sometimes unfair for these lads from different areas to be exposed to the wider world. They make comments that they might not realise. They've not seen other things, and he's obviously had some shockers. So I'm not going to get in too deep into that. But Bryce Mitchell, fighter alone, one of the best grapplers we've seen in that featherweight division. Rarely, if ever, has got outdone. He's outdone Cron Gracie. He's outdone he's outdone many others. I think Ilya's the only one who's gone toe for toe for him on the ground, and we know how good Ilya Topuria is. obviously champion and moving up now. So yeah, I think Bryce Mitchell. I don't think Jean Silva has quite got that one punch knockout power like Josh Emmett. And to be honest, Josh Emmett, it was in that first round. Is what it is. That the resume hasn't stacked up post then. So I think Bryce Mitchell, you know what, he's a fantastic fighter. He's actually getting better on the in the stand up. His ground game can't be doubted, and you know what, I think he wins this. I've just got a feeling these fight nerds have got so much hype around him. Everyone's buzzing. The man to do it is the man who doesn't conform to any storyline, doesn't conform to any rules or efforts or thoughts. And I think Thug Nasty, in his own crazy way, is probably going to come bearing across, do some crazy things in that walk-up if they allow him like he's done in the past. It'll be on. And I think Bryce is going to take him down and squeeze his head off.
I like it. Are we back to me? Is it my pick at it now?
Back to you.
Yeah. I'm not going to do the dog bark, but I'm going against you. I'm going against you. John Silva. I'm taking him. I'm taking John Silva to beat Bryce Mitchell. I just like him. He's obviously he's 4-0 in the UFC. Absolute madman that he's been so far. Finished all of his opponents. I think he's got the skills, obviously, on the feet. If he can keep it standing against Bryce, I think he's gonna knock him out, and you're gonna do what he's been saying. But obviously, the concerns are with the grappling. There aren't many better than Bryce Mitchell in this division, so that is obviously the worry in the John Silva pick. But all right, he's kind of not fought, I suppose, any out-and-out grapplers so far. I think Charles Jourdain took him down a couple of times. I think it was 3 from 6, but Silva managed to get himself back to his feet and actually finished him kind of on the break of a takedown in that fight. And then I think against Doba, which was a lightweight, obviously he stepped up to 155 and absolutely dominated, big guy at lightweight in Drew Doba, absolutely dominated him and finished him in the third round with that doctor stoppage. But that was some performance from John Silva stepping up in weight. So, he has got the power. He's kind of got that spring where he can maybe get himself back to his feet against someone like a Bryce Mitchell. I think there'll be maybe a round where he does get taken down, but gets back up, composes himself, and kind of does better from then on in. I think it was 0-4 against Doba, just finishing off that bit. But yeah, I think on the feet he's just too good for Bryce, and I think if he keeps it standing, Bryce has no chance on the feet. He'll probably get knocked out now after me saying that. But yeah, for me, it is John Silva. And I think, Bryce, obviously, maybe he wants to go for it a little bit more, with the trash talk between them and all the pressure that's kind of been on him. But he doesn't, have a great finish rate of fights. Most of his fights do go to decision. So, that's obviously the danger for Silva, that he gets, he kind of gets lay on top of. But he's only got one submission win, Bryce Mitchell, in 8 wins in the UFC, 6 by decision, 1 TKO. But for me, it stays on the feet, and John Silva gets the win by knockout.
Like it. Back to you, Sam. Round number 5, 5th and final pick. Make it a good one.
I'm staying for the main card, I think. And there's only one that I've not touched on. Most of my picks have been across there. So I'm going for a risky one. I mentioned him at the start. The resurgent Dominick Reyes to get the win. This is a proper fight list to kick off the main card with Nikita, Krylov. Both men have great finishing records. Dominick Reyes, obviously we saw him burst his way to the title. Didn't get the nod on the night against John Jones, and then everything kind of fell apart afterwards. 3 knockouts on the spin. There was a litany of kind of health problems within that, problems with his blood and all sorts of stuff that was going undiagnosed. And he's kind of now made that journey back towards the top 10 for in the last 12 months. Obviously got that win against Anthony Smith last time out, but Smith, after the first couple of minutes, he wasn't in a great place emotionally after the death of his coach, and you could see that he was taking shots with without any defense, and he just let Reyes bash him around off that single leg in the start of the second round. He went for the takedown and he just held on and it just let him hit him really for a good 4.5 minutes of that round. Was Anthony Smith pretty much almost curled up in a ball, offering very little resistance to what Dominick Reyes was chucking back at him. So I think there was a bit of a question mark over that one. He knocked out Justin Jacoby before that, but on his day, Dominick Reyes, the power and the speed is there. Krylov has been away for a couple of years, so I'm kind of banking on a slight bit of ring rust there for him. And before that, he submitted Ryan Spann in the first round, but Ryan Spann had him in a world of trouble before that. Watch that fight back this week. Ryan Spann almost got him out of there in that first round before Krylov got the triangle later in the round, and against Volkanovski as well, which was a really good win. We're going back nearly 2.5 years on that one, but again in that fight, Ozdemir had him in real trouble in that first round. He rallied, he got the win on the scorecards in the end, but the potential, I think, if he was coming up against a Dominick Reyes that night, he'd have been out of there. And I think he's going to come out fast. Reyes is going to come out fast. This isn't going to go over 1.5 rounds for me. So if you're a betting person, get on that. But for me, I think Reyes is going to catch him and put him away in the first round.
I like it. I'm not going to go against you, Sam. I think we'll cover pretty much, if I do this fight, I think we cover the full main and prelim now. So I'll cover the women's strawweight fight. We've got Xiaonan versus Virna Jandiroba. And I believe Xiaonan is going to come and be the victor of that fight. So that is my 5th round pick, Xiaonan. Johnny Sam, keep it simple. I really like her as a fighter. She lost to Weili Zhang. Weili has obviously looked incredible versus everyone else. I think Yan actually had a couple of moments, not loads, but a couple of moments where she looked good. Before that, she beat Tabitha Ricci. Sorry, not before that. After that, she beat Tabitha Ricci. Before that, she destroyed Jessica Andrade in round 1. That was one of the most impressive fights I watched of 2023. And I think she's doing. I think she's a great fighter. This Virna Jandiroba, people have been calling her to get near a title fight. I think both of them are top contenders. But I love her stand up. She's strong. She's athletic. This Verna's going to try take her down. But I think if Yan can keep it standing, especially in that first round, get that damage early and keep up the effort from there, and I think she will. I'm really impressed by her. Weili Zhang obviously took her down, but Weili's just an absolute monster of a woman. Obviously, probably one of the best in the strawweight division now. I don't think we can really argue that as much now. She's beat everyone. She's done amazing. Beat Tatiana Suarez, who was a complete wrestler, and outdid her. So I think people didn't realise how good Weili's ground game actually is. So on Yan, brilliant stand-up, brilliant boxing, some great kicks. Weili had to take her down to mix in some of that, to mix in the offence, to really put a slow down on Yan Xiaonan. So I think overall game, I'm going Yan Xiaonan to beat Virna Jandiroba and do it in impressive fashion. It's just she's in an awkward position because it's quite hard for her to get another title shot versus Weili. But who knows? Build up, beat Virna, beat one more person. It might come back again.
I like it. There we go. Like you said, we've covered quite a lot of the kind of fights in the mid prelims upwards all the way to the main event there. I think we're only taking each other on once, and that is in Bryce Mitchell against Gene Silva. So that could be a decider come the end of the night for us on this UFC 314 fighter draft picks. Joe, just run us through your team once more. I think we've got two solid teams there. Yeah, five-a-side fighting. That both teams are looking pretty strong.
So round 1, I went Chase Hooper against. Let me just load that back up. Versus Jim Miller. I've got. Oh no, it's not. Is it? Yeah, it's versus Jim Miller. I've got Julian Erosa in round 2 to beat Darren the Damage Elkins. Yair Rodriguez, I've gone TKO to beat Patricio Pitbull. In round 4, this is where we go against each other. I've got Bryce Mitchell to beat John Silva after all this build-up. And then in round 5, I've got Xiaonan to beat Werner Jandiroba. I'm really confident, Sam. I'm on the bookies. I'm going to be taking the bookies apart this weekend. 5 picks, 5 wins. Come on.
I like it. My team, Paddy Pimblett to beat Michael Chandler. Sean Woodson to get a win against Dan Ige. Diego Lopes to beat Anne the new featherweight king. John Silva to beat Bryce Mitchell. And Dominick, the resurgent Reyes, to get a win over Nikita Krylov this weekend. Yeah, I don't. I've gone a bit. I don't know what the right term is, but with Miami, with this card, I've just gone a bit more out there this week, and like I said, pick the fights that I'm really interested in. So we shall see, but I'm quite confident in some of those picks. So fingers crossed. You kind of avoided a couple of those fights, Joe, before we go. You've avoided the main event. You've avoided the co-main. Give us your picks. If you were going to go somewhere, where you're looking at for Volk v Lopes first?
The reason I've avoided is because, to be honest, I obviously agree with you. Love Volk. I can say he's been one of my top 3 favourite fighters of all time. It kills. I couldn't go against him, so that's why I stayed away. But I can't go for him. I think that chin, like you said, once that chin gets dusted like it has against Topuria, like it has against Makhachev, there's not many cases in history of that chin ever coming back. Lopes is an absolute animal, physical specimen, and has power in them hands. Love Volk. Think, like you said, he's going to be successful whatever he does. But it's probably Diego Lopes's time. And then in the co-main event, again, agree with you. I can't go against Paddy the Baddy, can I? I'm not going against Paddy the Baddy. You've got it in first pick. I went safe because I want the 5 out of 5, so I went safe. I would have picked Paddy the Baddy down in round 2 or 3, but yeah, I think like I said, Michael Chandler old, he's not 14. He's not 14. Since 20, he's fought last year against Charles Oliveira, lost. Obviously, had the McGregor fight looming for years now. Charlie Olives beat him in November, so that's that one was off the cards. They still maybe tried to make it happen, but not gonna. And I think, sadly, Michael Chandler is going to be Paddy the Baddy's first top 5 victim to get him for that title fight.
Yeah. Going to be interesting. Obviously, we've kind of waiting on this Ilia Topuria coming into this lightweight division where he's going to face Makhachev or not. But a win for Paddy just before we go. Maybe if he does win, we can go into this a little bit more. Obviously, we've got Poirier and Holloway. Looks like they're going to face each other in Louisiana in what looks like Poirier's retirement fight. And it kind of leaves a Dan Hooker, Justin Gaethje, whether they're going to remake that fight or not. Charlie Olives, he's had a bit of beef with Sarukian this week on social media. Conor McGregor's put some kind of Instagram out where saying he's interested in this fight, Chandler v Pimblett, whether that means he's just interested or whether he's actually going to get into any kind of camp at any time in the future. Probably not. But
probably not.
An ideal opponent for Paddy. Should he win emphatically?
That's a tough call. I guess I'd have to see who's available at the time, wouldn't you? I might sidewalk your question and say the fight to make in the next year or two obviously Makhachev's looming. I kind of hope he moves up because the fight to make would be Topuria versus Pimblett. It's a fight that's been, what is it, 5 years in the making now, when they fought during COVID. Well, sorry, when they had pre-fight press conferences chucking stuff at each other in around the COVID time to now. And that's been coming ages. They don't like each other. They give each other that fake respect. Everyone went mental. It's been coming a long time. Paddy's had his wobbles. To be fair, Toporia's just shot to the stars. But Paddy's coming now. I think he's got it right. And that, if that fight gets made in 2020, it'll be 2026 probably at this point, because Paddy might need one more and see what Topuria does. But 2026, Paddy versus Topuria, Sam. If they do it in the UK, if they do it in Europe, Sam, we're going to, whether if it's the first Spanish fight, if it's in the UK, wherever it is, we are getting tickets and we are doing the full Monty for that one, because that will be one of my favourite fights I've ever. I'll be more excited for that fight than any other I've watched in the last 3 or 4 years. So yeah, I think that's the one for me. I hope Paddy wins. I hope Topuria finds his way either to the championship or stays in that top division in that lightweight. Because what a fight, what an event. The build-up will be legendary. They're both good on the mic. They've both got a very loyal fierce English versus Spanish in football, in wars during the history of the European adventures it is on, and that would be the first UFC fight that's purely European. That just blows the place, blows MMA up in Europe once again.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think with the kind of delays on Spain and stuff like that, and if he is going to face Makhachev, that's not going to be in Spain. So potentially, if he does end up with a belt, Real Madrid in that closed roof stadium, you're talking 50,000 people. What in there? Maybe more. I have no idea what it holds with the.
I'd sell my house. I'd sell my house to go to that one. If that's in Real Madrid stadium, I'd be sorry, Frankie. We're off. We're off to watch Paddy versus Topuria.
That would be, wouldn't it, fun? Real Madrid against Liverpool on tour, like you said, England versus Spain. Unbelievable. But we can dream, and hopefully that one comes to fruition. But big times ahead potentially for European MMA should Paddy get his hand raised this weekend. But Joe, thanks very much for joining us as usual. This has been the UFC 314 draft. Cannot wait for these fights this weekend in Miami. We'll chuck all the picks up on the socials at Proper Sport across them, and make sure you subscribe on YouTube. See you next time.
See you, Sam. Thank you.